Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Index Card RPG's adventure book, setting book, Age of Snakes. All right, so this is a brand new setting book from Runehammer Games. It is specifically a setting for the Index Card RPG tabletop role-playing game. And this is my review of both the PDF and the physical book product. So I want to just give my rating real quick. 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love this product. It is truly fantastic. It is a setting book, and it is specifically for Index Card RPG. It is a fantasy setting, and it covers a specific period in time in Alfheim. And Alfheim is the fantasy setting, is the canon fantasy setting for Index Card RPG, okay? So let me explain my purchase experience with this. So I have grown a very distinct delight with all Runehammer game products. It's pretty much a rhythm now. They put out a product, I buy the product. It's really it's that specific. I absolutely love their content. It's really exciting. I really dig what they're throwing down. So I was really excited when I saw this. And just so you're aware, I watch a YouTube channel called Dave Thomavor. And Dave Thomavor he does concise breakdowns between 10 and 20 minutes for a single core rulebook, an index for a single tabletop role-playing game core rulebook. He does a little bit of a setting coverage every now and then, he's got some videos on Planescapes, but generally, like a good example would be like Tales from the Loop. That's a very well-respected tabletop role-playing game. He's got a 15-minute piece on it. That 15-minute piece does a fantastic job of showing you exactly what the game is about, how it accomplishes what it accomplishes, all that kind of thing. And this is important because Dave Thomavor, the guy who does those videos on Dave Thomavor's YouTube channel, he wrote this book, right? Now, he did one of his own videos for his own product, which was really fun. It was really nice, right? And so, basically, I was over on Dave Thomavor's channel watching, I had just finished his piece on the new Cyberpunk Red Kit, right? And then his video came up for Age of Snakes. So I watched it. I immediately went over to DriveThruRPG. So I go over to DriveThruRPG, and it's $15 for an 83 page PDF. Okay, now that's not cheap, but I was like, this is interesting, right? So I looked at it, and then I was like, okay, I can spend $15 and get the PDF, and I want this product. I want it like right now, right? Or I could spend $19, just $4 more, and get a hardback book and get the softcover book, so I can get an actual physical book, right? So I was like, okay, bet I'm gonna get the book, right? So the whole product cost me $19. I started reading the PDF on day one. It took me about 4 or 5 days to get my hardback book, and I've been reading the hardback book as well, and it's really just fantastic. The product is absolutely stellar, right? And so let me give you a little bit. So why is Age of Snakes special? Well, for a whole lot of reasons. So here's some of the things that are in it. So one, Age of Snakes is specifically about 150 years of history in Alfheim. So Alfheim is the canon setting for Index Card RPG. It is fully detailed in the Index Card RPG Worlds book. You do not need that book to get Age of Snakes, right? It gives enough context where you can run Age of Snakes separately, okay? No, it's not a problem at all, right? But you do need the Index Card RPG book in order to run Age of Snakes, all right? And actually, you'll get your best value if you have the Index Card RPG book and you're getting Age of Snakes, right? So basically, you have Age of Snakes, and what Age of Snakes does is it tells of 150 years where Alfheim is overrun by snake men, okay? And they're just villains. They're just straight up villains. There's a villain by the name of Bast. He is a super powerful lich snake man who has the ability to control the minds of Snake Man. He's incredibly powerful. He's fully detailed in the book. You know his motivations. You know his powers. It's really good. And he's powerful and very, very dangerous, right? And they do a great job of letting him stand as the villain that needs to be defeated, right? And it's really excellent. So the book is written by Dave Thomavor, and it is illustrated by Brandish Gilhelm. Brandish Gilhelm is the creator of Index Card RPG. He's also the artist for all Index Card RPG books. That's a really big part of the Index Card RPG books because it has this really distinct style, right? It's a Sharpie style, so it's literally just white, black, and red. And one of the things is it looks really cool, but it's not super high detailed. It's more like stylistic. And one of the nice things is because the art is done like this, they can keep the price on the products low, and they can keep a really nice pace on the products, right? So Runehammer Games is putting out a lot of product for Index Card RPG, and these products are really solid. They're really fantastic. They look like each other. There's a good solid theme, that visual theme that goes through all Index Card RPG books, and Age of Snakes fully upholds that tradition of good art blended with good writing, right? Now, this book is better, in my opinion, than I would say. Boy, it's hard to say. They're all so good, right? Like this Age of Snakes is better than Bearcats. I love Bearcats. Bearcats was fantastic, but Age of Snakes is better than Bearcats. One of the reasons why is I think one of the things you're seeing with Index Card RPG is a maturation of Brandish Gilhelm. I think Brandish Gilhelm is incredibly talented. He has the ability to write and to do art, right? But a book suffers if he does both. And the reason why is just from a bandwidth perspective. If you have a great writer and a great artist, they can work together in tandem. They can create a great product quickly. Whereas if Brandish Gilhelm is doing the whole thing himself, it's all on him, right? So I think the products are getting better because Brandish Gilhelm is letting go of a portion of this, right? I will say also, like, seeing Age of Snakes, it makes me think, could Brandish Gilhelm get somebody to do the visual style work, right? I think that would be a very painful choice for him because I think he just loves doing the art. But from a scale perspective, I think it would be really interesting if Brandish Gilhelm could train an artist to do what he does, right? Or even unleash an artist to do what he does. I think there are absolutely... This would almost be like Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton, right? Like, you want to see Hamilton with Lin-Manuel Miranda, but there's a point where the talent is so big and there's so much on the that could be done under that talent, which is Brandish Gilhelm, that if he lets go of the role that he loves the most, he might be able to do more. And I personally, I feel like Runehammer Games is really positioned to kind of spike forward and really do some tremendous things. I think they're doing great things right now, but their model is just so strong, right? So, all right, let's talk about Age of Snakes. So Bast is the key villain. He's a fantastic villain. There are 8 different factions. They each have their own cool symbol that fight snake men in their own unique way. So, like, there's elves that fight snake men and undead that fight snake men, and each of these factions, they have influence in one of the 15 regions of Alfheim that are detailed within the book. Excuse me. So basically, you have these factions. They all fight the snake men in different ways, and there are tags. And each of the factions has 2 powers, 2 abilities. And the way it works is when you make an Age of Snakes character, right, you get to choose one of these factions. And when you choose these factions, you can then take one of the abilities, right? But you can't take both. So you take one of these faction abilities, and then you can earn the other one through play, like a milestone reward. Milestone rewards is an Index Card RPG term. Index Card RPG does leveling differently. It's a beautiful system. Really, really well done. Very, very powerful, right? So basically you have that. So the factions are there, and then Alfheim itself, okay? So Alfheim itself is presented in the book, okay? Now, this is the second presentation of Alfheim, right? You can go to the Index Card RPG World Book, and you can see the core history of Alfheim, right? So basically, this is the same map and the same regions that are presented in the Index Card RPG World Book, but they have, but each region now has a different summary telling you, and the summaries are wonderful. They're 2 or 3 paragraphs, and short paragraphs, right? 2 or 3 paragraphs. So each region has a summary. It has new locations, right? So just like they're indicated by little red skulls on the map, right? On the map of each region. So they give you a map of all of Alfheim, and that actually has labels for each region. And then each region gets 1, 2, or 3 pages of detail, right? And all 15 regions are outlined in Age of Snakes, right? And each region gets a summary. It gets a new location. It gets special. It gets 5 things. It's incredible. Each one gets the summary, the new locations, small adventures. These are literally 1 or 2 sentences that just give you an adventure that can be played in that area. It gives you danger, okay? Dangers that are in that area. And then, in addition to that, right, that would be a 1-page summary. It would just have those 4, but if it got 2 or 3 pages, so one, like I think it's called New Irides, and it's in Iridrum, I think. But where the Snake Men actually have their capital, that's a 3-page blowout, right? Like, so that region is more well defined, right? And each region is unique. Like, some have ape men, some have giant insects, some have been completely taken over by the Snake Men. There's an undead area. There's some where the entire region is completely free of Snake Men. All right, it's really fascinating. By the way, if you keep hearing me say snake men and not snake women, basically they're almost like bees where there's a lot of snake men, but the snake women are these gigantic, like almost dragon-like creatures, and so there aren't many snake women. And when you encounter them, they're massive, like incredibly dangerous encounters, right? Like, but you'll see snake men all the time. The snake men are like stormtroopers, right? And there's like death troopers. They're like, some snake men are a little more dangerous than other snake men, so forth, right? So, but then in addition to that, if you have a blowout, right, on one of these regions, you'll get characters that are specific to that area. You might get equipment that is specific to that area, and you might get a subsystem. There's a few subsystems that are specific to areas within Age of Snakes. So the regions is a big part of the book. It's extremely well done. The pages are absolutely stunningly beautiful. I haven't said this, and I want to back up and say this right now. This adventure, it's not an adventure. It's a setting book. Age of Snakes is a setting book, okay? And by the way, it has 3 adventures in it. So in addition to everything I just talked about, there are 3 adventures in the book, right? It's crazy how much is in this book. So the thing that blows me away about this setting is how much it accomplishes with so little, right? It's only 83 pages long, but this setting is so inviting, so exciting, so explorable, so significant, just so incredibly well crafted. There's not a single word wasted in this book. And everywhere you look in these, so let me, I'll give that last little part, right? So there are 3 adventures in this book, and those 3 adventures actually tell a timeline story of Bast and the Snake Men and their 150-year reign of Alfheim, right? And so your adventures are dropped in the middle of this, and essentially their goal is to end the Snake Man's reign, right? Or in one way or another, by bringing peace between the people of Alfheim and Snake Men, or freeing the Snake Men from the mind control of Bast, or killing Bast, or just destroying all, actually taking everything back by battle, right? It's really, there's a lot of different ways they can go, right? So that's the book. It is Bast, it is the factions, It is the regions, and it's these three adventures, right? But more than anything, I can't explain to you, or I'm going to try, all right? I really want to impress upon you the incredible quality of this book, right? Because this book does something that is sorely, sorely needed in tabletop role-playing games today, which is no wasted space, no repetition, no, it is just lean. It is absolutely lean, right? The design on it is spare, and everything in it, it's very, very spare. Everything in it has to matter. Everything in it has to be exciting. Everything in it has to be dramatic. Everything in it has to have impact, right? And you just feel this on every page, right? Like that somebody went through and said, this is a waste of time. Nobody's going to use this. This is minor. This is unexciting. This is not unique, right? And it very much reminds me almost like Apple design, right? Like just spare and good, and so spare and so crafty and so intelligent that it's elegant, right? The whole book is just elegant. It's a template for how a setting book should be done, because I'm telling you right now, it's astounding to me, right? This is a setting book, right, that establishes a setting and does a better job of establishing a setting in 83 pages, whereas I think when you go to the DM's Guild, right, you will be hard-pressed to find adventures that really are presented better than this in 83, in even 120 pages, right? So it's just so incredibly spare, right? And the quality is incredibly high, and you just feel so let me give you a few examples, right? One of the things that it does, right, is I'm sorry for comparing it to 5th edition. I love 5th edition, but 5th edition is the big dog. It is the flagship of the tabletop role-playing game industry. But like a good example is the player's handbook, right? It has art, right? A lot of art in it that is completely unconnected with the things that are being talked about on the page, right? All of the art in this book, when they show you Bast, right? They show you a picture of Bast, and he and you can see his scale, you can see the weapon he uses, you could see what his robes look like, right? And then you don't really get, there's no point in the book where it says this is what Bast looks like. He has, scaly skin and eyes and two eyes, and his hands are wrinkled, right? You know what I mean? Like they're like, you already saw the picture. You were communicated that through the art, right? And there's so many, once you see what Index Card RPG is doing with these setting books, you're like, okay, every other setting book is like giving you all this information by text and lore dumping it, right? In pages and pages and pages of paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, right? And then the second half of the book, and you could see this in like Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, right? You have all this lore, right? And then you have all that lore, and then everything is statted out, right? And the stats are in the back of the book, and it's separated, right? And by the time you're reading in the back of the book, this stat block for a creature that you read literally 60 pages ago, it's ridiculous, right? Whereas when you look at the setting book for Index Card RPG, it's like, here's this setting, here's some locations in the setting, here's some adventures, here's some dangers, and here's this character, right? And he looks like what has been described would live in that area, in that region, right? And it's right there. And the stat blocks are being used to show the equipment that's chosen, the people that are chosen, the dangers that are defined, right? All in rollable 1d20 tables, right? All in table-ready content, right? That the story is being told through the mechanics, through the stat blocks, right? And it's just transformative. Like, there's really nothing like this. Index Card RPG is executing at a level that no other company in the industry is executing. And Age of Snakes is absolutely fantastic. I cannot recommend its purchase high enough. Dave Thomavor, Brandish Gilhelm, these guys are absolutely crushing it in the hobby right now. Highly recommend the purchase of this. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.